Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is another episode of Saving DMV, and today I am going to talk to you about how's the market post-COVID edition. So the last update I did on the market was right after that initial change that we saw in April and May, and sort of how we were coping with that, how we were handling safety, and sort of what was happening in terms of the home buying process. Now it's been almost a year, and I wanted to talk to you about how has the market changed since then, how have consumers changed, and what do we expect to see in 2021. So let's first start by talking about what happened. The US has experienced a really longest ever period of economic expansion, and then 10 years worth of progress was lost in a single month. So now we're not fully recovered, but the housing market has done better than I think people ever expected it was going to. What we're seeing is that people who were doing better than average before COVID are doing better, and those that were doing below average before COVID are doing worse. No surprises there. So let's drill into what happened in the job market. So I pulled this data from the Capital Area Realtor Mag that just came out, and they said 1 in 3 people did some telework at the height of the pandemic compared to 1 in 20 before. There were 22 million jobs that were lost in a few months, and 8 months later, about just over 50% have been recovered. In Montgomery County, though, we've seen 70% recovery. The unemployment rate, this was October, was 6.9% for the nation, but we actually saw 8.2% here in DC and 7.5% in Montgomery County. What happened in the housing market? So this is the highest home sales in terms of number of sales in 14 years. There has been a 27% increase in home sales over the last year. That's nationally. 23% here in DC and 30% in Montgomery County. Housing inventory has been decreasing, and the supply cannot keep up with the demand. We are seeing, therefore, a 10% increase in prices in DC and a 5% increase in prices in Montgomery County. I don't work the Northern Virginia region, but I've heard it's even higher in Northern Virginia. Okay, so let's talk about mortgages for a little bit. So mortgage applications are up 20% from a year ago. Mortgage rates are at an all-time low, and this is the lowest mortgage rates can go, says Dr. Yun. He's the chief economist at NAR. He said because the bond market's already starting to be affected by this low interest rate, so we should see rates stay around 3.1% this year. So housing prices. Housing prices are going up, but the thing that's different about this from the last housing market situation that we experienced in our recent past is that those who don't have jobs now, who might be in a position where they need to sell, will be less likely to be in a foreclosure situation or a short sale situation because of the appreciation of home prices. And we're seeing housing currently in an expansion phase. Because of the increase in demand and the decrease in supply, we are unlikely to see prices coming down. All right, inventory. Because inventory is so low, we really need building to happen, new construction. So Dr. Yun, he also said that new construction has been underproducing for the last 13 years, but building is finally back on track. But it may take another 2 to 3 years before a true balanced market could be realized from that new construction. He also actually discussed the lumber price and what we can do. The wildfires out west are affecting the price of lumber. So if we could maybe decrease the costs of Canadian wood, we might be able to decrease some of the building costs there. All right, now let's hop into COVID and house tours. So Dr. Jessica Lautz, she's the VP of Demographics and Behavior Insights at NAR. She said most buyers think that open houses and private showings, private tours are safe. That actually real estate agents were faster than most governments and areas at implementing safety procedures. And I can say we all took it very seriously right off the bat. And if you go back and look at my last video, we talked about the protocols that were put into place pretty quickly. So it looks like the public has sort of felt that we've been doing a good job because they say they are safe. But buyers are being more strategic, though. They're looking at fewer houses in person and doing a lot more of their shopping online. And this is not something that she mentioned, but we're actually seeing a lot of people writing sight unseen. Okay, the effect on the type of the house that people are looking for. Okay, so there's been a movement away from the city towards small towns and suburbs. So people, because they're working from home, they don't need to take their commute into account, and so we're seeing that movement away. I'm not sure it's going to need to stay that way. There's a lot of people making this change. I'll be very interested to see what happens when our vaccine level reaches, say, 80% capacity. Are we capacity, 80% of the population? Because then are we going to start seeing people reopening? Are we going to start people being able to go back to work? Are they going to be required? Is work from home going to continue? And how is that going to affect things? But for now, this is what we're seeing is a movement away to smaller towns. We're also seeing more multi-generational homes. It was 11% before the pandemic and 15% now. So these aren't kids who are living with their parents. These are the parents' parents, the grandparents, if you will. They are moving back in with their adult children and then acting as babysitters, taking care of children because the kids are home from school and the parents are home from work and the grandparents are acting as the babysitter. This has led to an increased need in wider door frames, things that walkers can fit through, more safety features in kitchens and bathrooms. So we're starting to see some of those changes in how houses need to live for our older generation. Here's some other interesting market stats they talked about. So one is the clearing of shelters, animal shelters. And that the price of a dog has actually gone up 150% in COVID. So I know a lot of people think that this is a great thing, and I don't want to put too much of a damper on it because obviously dogs getting adopted is every rescuer's, dream for them, and having shelters, be clear, is great. However, I know that a lot of us who work in rescue are very worried about these dogs, that when jobs reopen, that they're going to be like, oh, I don't have time for this dog anymore, and there's going to be a massive dump at the shelters. So, obviously we're hoping that doesn't happen, but that's just sort of something to add to this. There's been a drop in marriage and divorce rates, and there's also a drop in the number of children under 18. So part of that is because people are changing the way they look at marriage and divorce. They are waiting to get married till later, waiting to have kids till later, so that's led to decreases in those. There's also been a drop in the number of first-time home buyers. It's from 31% in 2020. So we'd like to see this come up to more like 40% first-time home buyers. So the biggest issues here are pretty obvious: affordability of houses due to the rising prices of homes and student loan debt. So there's $1.5 trillion of student loan debt. And also due to COVID, we've seen the number of parental gift money decreasing. It says it went from being a third down to a quarter had gift funds from their parents. So this is probably due to the parents' financial situation because of COVID as well. And so that's sort of like where we're at right now. It'll be really interesting to see where this goes in terms of competition right now. If you thought it was bad before, it is horrendous now. You need to be prepared to waive your contingencies, to bring extra cash to the table, to escalate well over asking. I mean, maybe 50 to 100K. We're seeing huge increases. So it's a very competitive market out there. It's only for the most serious buyers who are capable and willing to do that. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm happy to discuss that more, but that's just the reality of where we're at right now. There are not a lot of houses, and there's a lot of people. We're seeing easily 10 buyers per house, 25 on some. There have been others where they've had 50 offers where they're just trying to triage through them to try to get a sense of what they have because there's so many offers. So it is definitely a very competitive time right now. So anyway, I hope that all of that was helpful, and I'll keep you posted obviously on how things go, and maybe the next big change will be after everybody gets vaccinated and everything starts reopening. I know that Montgomery County Public Schools are thinking about opening, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll check back in again. Well, this was Hannah Clancy-Thompson with Arla Real Estate. Thanks for watching, guys.